I'm waiting for you to. Yeah.
I like swords. How are you all tonight, everyone? Welcome to another wonderful episode of Nightly News. We'll get confirmation in the chat that you can hear us, so that we're coming through loud and clear. Looks like you can see me. We'll be bringing up the chat in the side window. But just as important is we also need to confirm if we are joined by the wonderful, the mighty, the legendary Meme Lord. Meme Lord, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can confirm I do hear you. Thank you for having me on.
Wonderful. Hey, so Meme Lord, what exploits have you gotten up to recently since we've last seen you? Slain any dragons? Found any memes? I hear you're quite the legend.
Well, I found some. It's actually it's a pretty old meme format, but I've finally found its source. For anyone that doesn't know, if you Google medieval tapestry edits, or historical tale construction kit, you can make your very own medieval themed memes, kind of similar to the Bayo tapestry. It's really intuitive and it's free. Just go have a look and make some memes for us if you think of anything funny.
Awesome. Well, that's like you finding a treasure trove right there.
Yeah.
Now, some of you might be noticing I'm holding something. This is one of my new swords. It's like, I'm very happy about it. In fact, it'll be appearing in an episode on Shadowversity very soon. And there's even I have some first impressions and stuff that I'll share with it as well. It's the English two-handed sword by Windlass, and I'm very happy with it. So that's pretty cool.
So beautiful.
It's a beautiful sword. Like, really, I share my first impressions, so I won't ruin go into detail here. But it's basically one of the types of swords I've been looking for a good while. Like, of a specific type and length. So I'm very happy about that. So we got a couple of things to go through, and of course we are joined here in the studio by Sir Ben. How are you, Sir Ben?
I'm well. I'm very, very well, thank you. It's always great to be here. I love it.
And with the tradition on here on Game Night, we have our drinks. Let us crack them open. Oh.
I got water because I'm a good boy.
You're a good boy. H2O, Chad.
Mm-hmm. Water is the elixir of life.
That water is very important. I do agree. You know, surprisingly, this does have water in it as well. The Bundaberg. In fact, I think it's like 90%
sugar.
90% sugar.
Stuff's bad for you. It's bad for you. I don't trust it.
Yeah. Okay, and also we are joined by the Squire, also, who is also here.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, look at that. Yeah, the Squire. Who's pleasure to have him here as well. And so Ben, if you could bring up some of my notes, just I have some small introductory things. And so we got a couple of segments to kind of cover, a short discussion items, in fact, and we'll be ending off the stream with Super Chat. So, some of you might notice that Nightly News happens, or we try to make it happen, at a more convenient time for everyone in the world. Particularly the US, where the bulk of our viewership comes from, of course. And so it should be like evening for you in the US, I believe, if my calculations are right. It is noon, or a bit past noon, here for us in Australia. And the game streams happen at a different time, which is like really early in the morning in the US. And the reason is because I do game streams in the evening at night when I'm winding down and I'm relaxing and I get to hang out with you guys and Meme Lord. And so that's when the game streams happen, but Nightly News should happen at a more convenient time as well. And so today I haven't tweeted out and posted this episode of Nightly News on Shadowversity and things like that, because we do want to get to the part where Game Night will stand on its own. But there's a couple of things that that I'll try and do to help foster and build our audience, because I'm really enjoying what we're doing here on Game Night, and it seems like a lot of you guys are enjoying it as well. But there's a lot of people, I reckon, on Shadowversity that are missing out, especially the nightly news discussions, because there's a lot of like medieval related content that we get to cover here on Nightly News that I wouldn't really get to on Shadow if it was a Shadowversity dedicated thing. So we can do kind of the stuff that falls in between the gaps, and I think a lot of those viewers would enjoy it. So I'm going to make a video saying, hey, you're missing out. But also, that's why like these early days on the channel is kind of cool, because the chat, we can see it all happening, where not everyone is getting buried in the chat and things like that, because we've got a small audience at the moment. And so we're just going to enjoy ourselves in these early days, because I hope, well, look, we might not even grow. We might stick around at this level for ages. I don't know where this channel will go. I have hopes for it. High hopes, but we got great content coming as well. We got that role-playing session still, moving forward, setting the foundations. And in actual fact, we should be having. We're not going to be live streaming the role-play sessions. We're going to record it and then edit it, and that means we can make it more enjoyable, more digestible, and watchable. We can do some better editing and things for the role-play sessions. And so it still might be 2 weeks for the first one to come out, but we'll be holding the first roleplay session, it's scheduled, in a week's time. And so that's awesome. That's moving ahead. And
with what you were saying, Shad, about not sure where this channel goes, I think if we don't get banned, that'll be a victory for everyone.
Well, it'll certainly be a victory for you, Meme Lord, with that double-edged axe of edginess of yours.
Yes.
Indeed, like that axe has come out a couple of times in our game streams. And
just wait till your next episode of Shadowversity, Shad.
There's a rumor that even the double-edged axe of edginess might appear in the next episode of Shadowversity, that's crossover territory here. The worlds are colliding, people. What's going on?
Collaborating with yourself.
Sorry, what was that, Sir Ben?
You're collaborating with yourself.
I know.
Yeah. You do that often, Shad. I just noticed.
How do I do that often?
That's weird. Yeah, Shad, you always appear on Shadowversity's channel. Why is that? Why doesn't Shadowversity ever show up?
I know. Where's Shadowversity? Who is this Shadowversity? Well, actually, we do know who Shadowversity is. He has appeared. You're wrong, Meme Lord. He has appeared.
Where?
Well, it turns out the true Shadowversity hijacks a channel now and then and appears, and he goes by the Medieval Douche. Don't know why, but... Well, actually, I can kind of see it. Yeah, I can kind of see it, but he claims to be the true Shadowversity and owns the channel, and he appears occasionally. So, what if I could wrest control of the screen here, Ben, or actually just go to my notes here, just to make sure we're covering things. So yes, the schedule. The next thing I want to talk about is, so when I started Shadowversity, I also started the Shadowversity Patreon, and that was literally tied to Shadowversity. And I originally structured it that it would be a donation per creation, which for me, that was per video. But that was well before my content and the things I was making was expanding. And since that time, I then wrote a novel. And a lot of people really liked the novel. And in actual fact, a lot of people ended up wanting to support the novel, or support me in my writing endeavors. But there wasn't really a way for them to do that if they were just a fan of, say, my writing. And then the stuff I'm making is expanding even further. We have Game Night now. And Game Night, if you notice, the content has been coming out. We've been pumping it out. We've got a team going here, right? We've got Meme Lord, who also does editing for us. We've got Sir Ben, who is technically he's like my producer or my content facilitator and stuff. We have a squire or intern who might, I don't know, he has to prove himself still, but he might.
So far, he has pretty well. He's done pretty good.
He's doing pretty good. That's true. But I need him to make money. We need to say, I want to focus him on making money. And how we'll do that, I don't know. Counterfeiting is probably not illegal.
What's your bank information, intern?
We could just
tell us your credit card number.
We could just rob him.
No, we need him. We need him.
Because what you might have noticed is that I have been investing a lot of money to not only make this channel and be able to have a consistent, flow of content, which is great. We're almost doing daily content, which is crazy. I wasn't thinking we could manage that, but so far we are. And I'm really enjoying doing it because we've got the streams, we've got nightly news, then we've got roleplay content. So not only do we have that roleplay session, right, that I'm going to be doing with these other creators, I also want to do roleplay sessions with my kids, and that's going to be hilarious. And because again, game night is just this great outlet where I can do crazy, weird things. You might be occasionally there might just be this really weird left of field thing that might only appear for a couple of segments and then never happen on game night. I don't know. We'll see how I go. But I'm a big nerd. And I like a lot of nerdy things. And so maybe when I'm building a prop or something like that, we could have a live stream of us making one of the props for Shadowversity or something like that. That wouldn't be a regular thing, but it's just fun, something out of the ordinary. And I couldn't really risk that on Shadowversity because of the way that the algorithm works, right? Because if you put out something that's left of field that the audience isn't really familiar with, they don't get as many views, and that will actually affect how much your next video will get recommended, and it will make it less because fewer people watch the previous video. And so Shadowversity has become a thing where I really need to make focused content for what the audience wants, to maintain the momentum on it, and it's a sucky reality of the algorithm and the YouTube environment at the moment. But game night, we got free. I was like, we can just do whatever we want. So it doesn't matter. It's like, and look, of course we want views and we want the channel to grow, but it's still the game night is the channel where we can just experiment and do crazy weird things. And so one of the things I loved Lego as a kid, and so to get my kids, because I love Lego heaps, I bought Lego for them. And there was also some projects on the channel where I actually needed to make something out of Lego. You might have seen there's one or two videos that has Lego on the channel that I use Lego as props to facilitate what I'm doing. And so when I got this Lego and I started, trying to get my kids into it, I realized, man, this stuff's still a lot of fun. I still enjoy it. And then I ended up making these spaceships of my own design and stuff. And I don't know what... Maybe you'll see a Lego building live stream. As weird as that would be, well, I can do it. I can just do it. I don't care. I can do it if I want. And so again, random content. That's a tangent. Get used to it. I do it a lot. Okay. Because now coming back to that Patreon thing and stuff like that and everything. Because again, I made the Patreon for Shadowversity, but now I'm making all this content. Okay. And because when I say I invested a lot of money into setting up game night and to also help facilitate the production stuff on Shadowversity and balance it out and stuff, that required spending a lot of money. And some people are weird about sharing money. I generally am not, but I can understand that it can make some people uncomfortable and stuff. But I hope I'm not trying to flex out. I'm just letting you know this is how much I'm dedicated to trying to make. I feel my chair's weird up there. I'm dedicated to making this channel work and everything. I've invested, I think, over $20,000 at the moment. We've got new webcams, we've got new mics, I've got a new computer coming, and employees. I brought on full-time employees, and I'm giving me even more work as well. And so the costs of running things have increased a lot. And so if you guys are appreciating the content, this is where I will start to shill either Patreon or Subscribestar. There will be links in the description below because your support will help us maintain the production value and perhaps even increase the production value even further. But when I was seeing, okay, Patreon and Subscribestar is going to be really helpful, especially with the new channel and Shadowversity going forward, I need to restructure my Patreon because that was dedicated for just Shadowversity. And keeping it on the settings as it was wouldn't work because it was set for a donation per upload. And on Shadowversity, that was maybe between 4 to 8 uploads per week, depending on how much content I produce. 4 uploads a month, sorry, not a week. 4 to 8 uploads a month. And 4 uploads a month was a minimum, and 6 is the average, and 8 is when I'm going crazy. And it was around there, but with the content we are pumping out here on Game Night, if I just started to dump Game Night stuff on there, which is almost daily content, people you can put a block limit on how much you will donate per month, even if you're donating per creation on Patreon, but still, it'll kind of come out of left field, and I didn't want people to think, well, hang on, Am I supporting game night now? Shadowversity. So I restructured the Patreon completely. So it's not the Shadowversity Patreon anymore. It's now the Shadbrooks Patreon. And anyone who appreciates anything that I'm making, whether it's Shadowversity, game night, my books, I'm making a comic book now. I got a lot of sign-ups to my crowdfunding, sort of like Patreon and Subscribestar, when I announced my intentions to build castles, and people were like, "That's awesome! I want to help you shout out in any way." And they started donating after I did, which was awesome. I'm so grateful for that. And so people also want to help me get to the point to build castles. And so there's all these different things that people were wanting to support me through. And so I figured it's much better to restructure all this. This isn't Shadowversity anymore. It's just the Shadbrooks Patreon, and whoever feels like contributing and supporting in any of these projects, they can just do it through there. And so the people who are already signed up supporting Shadowversity can still support Shadowversity through the Patreon, so that didn't change. But then the people who want, if you guys are really enjoying game night and want to help produce the content, help support and stuff like that, you can now do that as well through my regular Patreon. It's Shadbrooks Patreon or Subscribestar. Okay, Subscribestar is also fully set up. So that would be a tremendous help, really would, because that means we probably might be our squire, the intern right there. If we can get some, any level of support would be great. But if we can get a more regular and reliable kind of cash flow, because man, AdSense go all over the place, and Game Night isn't making much money at all at the moment. And so if we can get that, then I'll be in a much better position to bring on our squire as another full-time play. That would be crazy. And even Meme Lord, he's on the other side of it's on the other side of Australia, which could be the other side of the world. You're in a desolate landscape, aren't you there, Meme Lord?
You know, everyone thinks that it's desolate, but that's only because to get here, you have to cross through the red wastes. It's like, but once you get here, it's beautiful. Perth is a beautiful city, and yeah. Don't you talk smack about my city.
Okay, so he doesn't live in a wasteland. You just have to cross a wasteland to get there. And
we are guarded by wasteland. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so that would also justify me giving Meme Lord more work, and maybe something like even another full-time position, right? But distance, that wasteland is a bit of a problem. We'll talk about that between me and Meme Lord.
Yeah, send a horse, send a carriage, please. Bring a lot of water with you.
I know, you'll need more than a horse. You'll need like a horde to fight off the venomous serpents that infest the land in between.
There's no joke there. That's actually a really scary thing.
Yeah.
What is it? I think it's 9 out of the 10 deadliest snakes in the world live in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the other one's an immigrant. He moved from Australia.
So just out of question, because I have actually had to do battle with one of the vicious serpents of the desolate, Australia isn't a hellscape, but there are hellscape places in Australia, and so but I have had to do battle.
Canberra. Cold one.
Well, yes, I have had to do battle with one of these vicious creatures. Have you ever had any encounters with these vicious creatures?
I have indeed.
Yeah, do share. I'm interested now.
So, I used to live on a farm, and so as you can expect, being farmland, there's a lot of
vicious, dangerous, giant venomous serpents. We're talking about the size of a house, around that range, and the venom, even the fumes, the mist, if you breathe it in, can kill you. So okay.
Yeah. So I wrestled with one with my bare hands, and I propped that up on a stick. And
hang on. Step back a couple of things. What do you mean you wrestled with one? We need context here. Was it dead? Okay. Was it attacking you? Did it leap at you and you grab it out there? Like, you just can't say wrestle and leave it.
It was kind of just like chilling there, and I snuck up behind it, grabbed its tail, and then flung it away. That was about it.
He wrestled with it. Like that leaped on him. He had to roll. Wow. That's why you were knighted. I was wondering why Sir Ben was knighted. Now we know we have another snake slayer amongst us. Well, hang
on. My grandfather, he was incredible. He could grab a snake by the end of the tail, and he'd pick it up, and he'd whiplash it and make its head fly off.
These are legendary tales right here. He comes from a long line of mighty warriors, mighty monster serpent slayers right here.
It's almost too hard to believe.
Almost.
If Shad didn't do it when he was a child, and we all live in Australia.
This is another change. We get lots of changes here, but I have like semi OCD, and I think my camera is off center. Am I like sitting in the center? I can't.
No, Shad. Every time you smack the camera,
like it's like. Yeah.
So you used to be over to the left of the screen, and then every single time you hit the camera, you started creeping to the right.
Ah, damn it. Okay, so can you bring up like the thing here? We're gonna fix this, okay? So the Orville is a great TV show, and there's a segment in the Orville where they appear on the view screen, and is like the guy's like, "How dare you attack us?" I go, "Can you move a little to the left?" There's just a lot of dead spaces. So, we're gonna fix this. Orville, great
that
show.
was a
Recommend
good
it.
show.
Good
It
show.
had Liam Neeson in it. That was cool.
All right, so
That one
this
episode.
should.
You never asked me about my body count or serpent count.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, meme lord. Okay. Well, just
Feel left out now.
I know. We need to ask. We need to ask the meme lord, and of course, we also need to ask our squire, because if you live in this like land filled with dangerous wilderness in between the pockets of civilization, oftentimes you're going to run into one of these mighty, vicious, creatures. Okay. It's like Australia's one of the last pockets of monsterdom.
Frontier.
Frontier, though I do hear there are some crazy dire animals in Canada of the bear kind, okay? Like,
Yeah, they're feeding them all that bloody oil money. They're getting jacked and they're taking all that maple syrup. Maple syrup. What's maple syrup?
Yeah,
I didn't want to think about that.
I don't want to know.
Sounds messy.
Okay, so going back to Sir Ben's quest, this enthralling tale, all right? Were you forced to slay it, or did you just kind of you had to wrestle it? It tried to constrict you, and you got it off you and you threw it away. Like, did you slay it, or did you just like extricate it from?
I extricated it from the premises.
Extricated it. Okay.
It took one look at me and decided that I wasn't worth the time. I was too dangerous, and then as it tried to run away, I just gave it a little bit of a helping hand.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice
Get
of
thee
you.
hence.
That's
Yeah.
really good of
Okay.
you.
I mean, you didn't use a sword.
Because it doesn't have any hands to help itself with. It's a snake.
Exactly.
This is
Word
This is the
play.
least I could do.
Yeah, sometimes snakes need a hand given. But again, no swords. There was no swords in that tale. But I do admit, wrestling one is a manly feat. But what about you, meme lord? Have you had any vicious encounters of the snake variety?
Yeah. It's, not of the snake variety, but in terms of like vicious encounters, yeah. My cousin, he got kicked by the mule I was branding, so he's gone. So I count that towards my body count.
Okay. So you
Don't stand behind animals if you're branding them.
This is very important information. It's very true. And what about our squire? So squire, any vicious encounters?
I have, not face on, but there was an occurrence where I was mowing the lawn, and after mowing the lawn, I thought that was a weird noise, and looked back behind me, and there's guts everywhere. And it was a snake. It was deadly, but...
How do you know it was a snake?
There weren't any hands.
Are you sure it wasn't a small child? We just need to confirm this. This is important.
My dog
it
went
was
missing
black
around
and there
that
was
time
no
you told me that
hands.
story.
Oh!
No,
What
I
happened
would've
to
heard it.
Sir Barksalot?
But no, that's my story.
Well, how do you know it was a snake, though? This is a serious... All right, we need to suspend this and to have a full inquiry onto this. If
Could
there's
have
any missing
been a
people.
sea cucumber.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. My goodness. Could have been any number of things. So we need to delve into. We'll come back to that. All right, Squire, you're on notice. He's on notice. Okay. The land of Australia, vicious place where regular people just have to take up arms sometimes. Yeah.
To fight the hideous monsters.
Yes. I do actually come from a line of snake slayers as well, just like Sir Ben. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Back in the day when things were not as, I guess, regulated or protected, because technically there is a faction, like a guild, you could say, or a kingdom that tries to protect these creatures. And I agree, sometimes, in certain contexts, they need protection, okay? Preservation and stuff. We don't want to get rid of all of our dragons in this land, because if they're all gone, what dragons are we going to hunt?
Exactly.
I mean, what can we do?
We'll just imagine the dragons.
Mm-hmm. But when they're threatening your life, okay, certain action doesn't need to be taken. But further back in the day, the dragon slaying was on a higher rate, like as we heard from Sir Ben's account. Sometimes, especially if you're on a farm, okay, having one of these vicious serpents is a big danger. Just rolling around the farm. And so, general practice, okay, for farmers, especially if you go back a generation or two, if you see a snake, you need to deal with it. You need to deal with it now. Otherwise, they'll breed, get more, and then you can have big problems, threat to livestock, threat to life, and everything like that. And so, I have an ancestor who, when he was just a teenager, would venture out and they would capture them first, put them in a sack, and then let them loose. It sounds terrible when I say let them loose.
And then go around whacking them?
In a dam, right? And so they'd go underwater, and then they would have well, let's just call them boomstick. There are these enchanted devices that go boom and can do a bit of damage. And so he and his companions would stand around this ford, this body of water, with their boomsticks, waiting for the serpent to poke its head up above water.
Awful, Shad. Thanks for that horrible story.
And when they would, the boomsticks would go boom. Just...
Now, I hate snakes, but to do that, it's a bit excessive.
It's a bit excessive. Great. They lived in the country and had nothing to do. This is how they entertained themselves. This is before TV.
I think I'm going to have to go with Ben and his strategy of just, lightly tossing them away and letting them go about their life.
Yeah. I mean, like, if it's not doing anything to harm me or my family, I'm happy to just let it go. Because, it's just minding his own business. He didn't know it was my
We do not advocate violence against these creatures. I'm just saying.
Yeah, then how do those snakes piss off your mate so much, Shad? What do they do? They kill his dog or something? Is your mate John Wick? What happened?
It's like spiders, Meme Lord. What do you think about spiders, Meme Lord? Like, when you see a spider, what do you do?
Well, I usually move house. Why? Why do you ask?
Because back in the day, snakes were treated very much in the same vein as spiders. See, you kill them. It's basically.
Okay.
I'm just gonna be a minute. I'm gonna pull up a photo of me with a snake. It's quite a large one. I was pretty proud of it. So I spent some time in South Africa when I was younger. And
show us this picture of your large snake that you're proud of.
Gosh.
Put down the axe. Put it down. Put down the. You couldn't resist, could you?
Never for a penis joke. Can't resist penis joke.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll get it up, but first, also, we do have the super chat window up, so because we don't want to miss them, we do have a super chat catch up session at the end of the stream. As happens in stream, sometimes one or two go under the radar. We're gonna do our best for that not to happen. We apologize if it does ahead of time. But how are you going with that picture there?
Yep, it's all good on.
Whoa, that's a big snake.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, there we go. That's what, a python, is it? I don't know.
Yeah, so it was actually it's an albino python. One of the only in the world. So
that's a big snake.
Yeah, it was 15 kilograms. It was
So this was a very fun. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
I was just going to say it's one of the few in the world. You had this one chance to destroy this particular brand of evil forever,
but you didn't.
You didn't.
I'm not.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I know.
Enforced extinction is not good. That's a joke. Not destroying species.
I'm not going to follow that vein of discussion. I was like, I'm
got
stopping.
in trouble for that joke in the last video.
I'm stopping. We're not even going down there. You have to. I hope people can understand that they should probably take what 80% of what we say that it's just sarcasm.
Yes.
Just don't take anything we say is too seriously. I hope people understand that. Okay. Because this thing, there'll be some of you saying, "Well, of course, Chad, you don't need to tell us," but I need to say it because there is a small group of people who do need who take everything. They have trouble picking up sarcasm. They take things literally that were never meant to be taken literally. It happens, okay?
This group of people, Shad, what common denominator do they all have that we can kind of figure out what group they're a part of?
I don't know. Low IQ. No, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not. We're stopping. We're stopping. Okay. Because,
they're all part of Susan.
Put down the axe.
Okay.
Put it down. Put it.
Mistress Susan is excellent. We all love her.
So be Millard, is the axe on the ground? Just tell me. Is the axe down?
No, it's not. I'm going to continue to say offensive things.
Okay, we'll have to deal with that. We'll have to
Shrek quotes coming up soon.
Okay. So that was a fun diversion on our sharing the tales of our grand adventures of snake slaying, and I can't remember exactly what were going on that got us onto that vein of conversation. Because I'm one of those, again, OCD, I don't really have it, but there are certain elements that really, and not finishing a vein of thought or something I was discussing really bugs me. So I'm like, what were we saying before we started talking about snakes? I can't remember.
No, we were comparing, we were sharing snake pictures.
No, before, well, long before that. It's like, I think I was trying to finish off my discussion on the Patreon stuff.
You were making fun of West Australia, and I threatened you with snakes.
That's right, because you were living in the wasteland and the vicious monsters we have to slay between everything.
The W stands for West, not wasteland.
It's wasteland. So yes, any support would be appreciated. I'm not sure if I finished off my discussion on the donation side of things and stuff, but it just means we can keep pumping out high quality content regularly, consistently, and even bring on more help to push it even further, which would be great. And so I think those
all
are
the help we can get.
Yes, definitely, especially Meme Lord, especially.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we can start to move on to some memes. Meme Lord, this is your time to shine, sir.
Yeah, well, I already I did
you did
preface this
you have
live stream.
You did. So you've
by saying how busy I am. But I did find some good stuff that people can make their own memes with, and find a massive list of memes. And I'll say it again in case anyone missed it. Medieval tapestry edits on Know Your Meme, obviously. And if you want to make your own medieval tapestry themed memes, just go to, oh crap, what was it called again? Oh, I've got it open here. Historical Tale Construction Kit. It's on GitHub. It's very easy to use. Have fun.
Awesome. Is there an example we could see?
Yes, in the chat, in the general
chat. Okay, so Ben, if you could bring up a meme for us to feast our eyes upon, and we shall see.
Massive list of them, tons, endless amount.
Chat says, Shad, ever thought of making a medieval history curriculum? No, I haven't. Next question. I have not. It would involve swords, of course.
Why, hey, have you ever thought of doing like, so there's that biographs guy who looks suspiciously like your brother. Have you ever thought about doing, biographies for historical medieval peoples?
Oh yeah, now and then I think about doing it. One of the issues was research before videos and the amount of work such things require, because I want to be accurate in those things. And it's not an area of knowledge that I already possess and that I can draw on because a lot of the content I make is drawing on information that I have collected and studied for years beforehand. And so in the video, I can just whip it out and ad-lib them. And because of that, that means I can match the production schedule essentially and bring out the videos regularly. But stuff that requires researching from scratch, from square one, takes a lot more time. But now that I have more help on hand, that is something I could start to pursue. I have a larger video kind of series that I want to make that will require a lot of work. I don't want to spoil anything now, but it's probably still a year or more off before I feel comfortable or in a position to really start pumping out that series. But man, that'll be great. That'll be really good.
I know which one you're talking about.
You know which one I'm talking about. Small things are being set up. Small things are being set up bit by bit in place to the point where we can launch that, and that would be pretty darn cool. Pretty cool.
Oh wait, maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Maybe you are. It happened.
About the Death Star you're building in your backyard?
No, that's a different thing. Different one.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so Ben, do you have the memes?
Yeah. So are the memes you're talking about, Meme Lord? Are they the medieval tapestry memes?
Yes, that entire spiel I was going on about medieval tapestry memes. That's where you'll find the memes.
Beautiful.
All right, I want to get a fresh.
And you can make your own too.
And you can make your own. Wonderful stuff. This is like Monty Python, how they use like medieval art in like. Oh, that's great. If this is going to take too long, we're just going to move on to the next segment. But anyway, right. Well, I think we're almost there.
Yeah. Disregard the memes. They can come back later if you want.
Here we go.
Okay, so is that up on chat? On so everyone can see it? So Ben, is that on, can everyone see this?
Yes, everyone can now see that.
I don't get it.
Have you not? Have you played?
I don't get it either.
Hadovkin. I get it now. I think that's one some of the best ones where you don't first. You need to look at it like I don't get. And then when it clicks, you're like, I see what you did then. Hadovkin.
Got him.
Got me. Got me good with that one. All right, let's get another one up.
Yeah, so there's tons you can make.
Okay, so my milkshake brighteth all ye gentlefolk to the yard. Oh, yeah, my milkshake bringeth all ye gentlefolk to the yard, and they're like, it's better than thine. Verily, it's better than thine. I could teach you of BVT.
I think that's supposed to be a U.
But
I can teach you, but I must levy a fee.
Levy a fee. I'm not feeling this one. I was like, it's repeating lyrics from popular song in I don't know. I think this one could have been done better. I'm just saying.
You don't like early 2000s radio pop?
Not generally.
I'm offended.
All right, let's see this. Dost thou ever get the feeling thine art being watched? Better, but I don't know. That first one.
You ever think about that though? What if we're all just Sims? You know.
All right, there we
As
go.
opposed to Simps.
There, those are some memes right there. Remember, if you want to share some fun memes, look, actually, there is a whole meme channel. Oh, sorry about that. I'm not sure if that sound came through the stream. We just got the alert thing from Windows. We should actually mine some of the meme channels on the Shadowverse Discord now and then, because there's some good ones there. But anyway, we're moving on. So let's go up to some of the topics that we'll be covering here in Nightly News. Okay, so I want to cover one, and then depending on how long we go. So Ben, if you could bring up Metatron's recent video on copper. It's like a copper alloy rant or something like that.
The copper alloy rant.
It's great. It's a great video, and I have some stuff to share because I sympathize, and I think I'm still moving the camera around. Now it's triggering me. Let's just try and fix it. I don't know. I think I'm centered now because I keep rotating when I hit the table. I'll see if it fixes them up. But I totally understand what Metatron was talking about in this video. So, am I centered now? Made it worse, probably. Damn my OCD. I just can't help it. So
keep smacking that table until it comes back around.
That's right. I just keep hitting it. So Metatron, recently made a great video where he does a rant about copper alloy, and this is one of those videos that spoke to my soul because I've run basically the same issue, but not with copper, with iron, and it is frustrating as anything. And so Metatron, right, in his video, is giving a rant that in a lot of academic papers and such, when items are identified, they're just identified as like a copper alloy, okay? But they don't tell us if it's, say, bronze. And I can't believe when you bronze and brass. Bronze and brass. There, that's the. You know when you try and think of something and it just disappears from your brain. You're like, it was there a moment ago. How does that happen? How can like a word or information just disappear out of your brain? Meanwhile, do you have any answers?
Yeah, dude, it happens to me all the time. I check the fridge and the thing that I was yearning for, I ate like 20 minutes ago. It's the worst.
It is the worst. I
feel like a monster sometimes.
Answers to life's mysteries. But yeah, so that's an important distinction. Are they talking about bronze or are they talking about brass? Okay, these are two different alloys, and we need to know because they have different mechanical properties. And when I say mechanical, I mean what's their strength, what's their hardness, what's their toughness, okay? All these important things. And so Metatron is getting triggered in this video because they're not saying. And this happens with iron, okay? Specifically steel, because there are many different types of steel. You have, and this is like the most surface level. There's a lot, there's heaps, right? But if to speak broadly, you have iron, which is, I don't have the percentages offhand because I haven't memorized them, but I often have brought them up in other videos. But under a certain percentage, you have iron, and then you get into low carbon steel, mild steel, and then from mild steel, low carbon steel, and then you can have medium carbon steel, high carbon. Some people just put carbon steel into a category, but there's enough of a difference in performance in the carbon steel category that it is very useful to have a distinction between low carbon, mild carbon, and high carbon. And high carbon is where we get in the important area because that's when it's particularly better quality and stronger, especially if it's consistent. But then, even in the high carbon category, you have two additional categories that's really important to know, okay? And that's if it's one, being quenched properly and hardened, okay? So if you heat it up, because if it has enough carbon in, it can be hardened. And that's when you duck it in water from it being in the Austenite phase. I can go into some of the technical details if you want. The Austenite phase is when the crystalline structure... I won't get too technical. But anyway, and from the Austenite phase, you dunk it and harden it, and that'll adopt different crystalline structures thanks to the carbon content, okay? And it can be hardened. But then there's another step, and that is if you temper it, because by tempering it, you can reduce some of the stresses that happened in the crystal structure from the hardening process to the point where they have these dislocations, and it's like this lattice work. And if you can get the crystalline structure called martensite, you can get something glorious, something wonderful, something that I have right here. You can get what is called spring steel, okay? See this? I'm bending it, and it flexes back. It's magic. Oh, and when I say magic, right, that's not too far removed to how people might have seen it, because in every, interaction with, especially in the early days when they're more familiar with iron, right, or low carbon steels and mild steels and stuff, is that if you bent something that much, it would stay bent. And the fact that you could actually do this strange process, right, where you could flex it and it would flex back into truth, that would, for the people who first saw this, it'll be like, this is magic. What's going on?
They were like, weird flex, but okay.
No, that's this is like a magic flex. This is like a glorious flex, right? So knowing this is really important. But this is the issue, okay? Because when I say important, why is it important? For me, the earliest times that these steels were actually made is really important because that can tell us when some of the best swords were made, or even not just broadly, just more specifically, there was a couple of swords, and because these people knew how to make it and everything, and be really important. And because there's a lot of people who think steel wasn't invented until like the 1800s. because some people actually taught that in school. I'm not kidding. When steel was basically discovered at almost around the same time that iron smelting was discovered, because if you're using bloomery technology, you can't avoid making certain trace amounts of steel in the process because you're using a carbon-based fuel source to smelt the iron, and guess what that does? That puts carbon into the iron, making steel. Magic. Amazing. And so, oh man, yeah, I see how... where I get frustrated is that there are a lot of archaeological items that are just listed as iron, okay, when they're actually carburized iron. They're steel, when they're actually steel, but they're listed as iron. And it's frustrating as anything. And I have an interesting experience about this where someone tried to call me a liar when I was identifying an early steel sword, specifically the Vered Jericho sword. Because in the museum, it says, like, if you go to the museum website, it says iron sword. They just listed as iron. When this annoyed me so much because I had quotes already stating that this was mild steel. It was a mild steel sword. Everything. But after this person accusing me, I actually wrote to the museum itself and asked for the original paper. And this was after I did. If you're familiar with Shadowversity enough, you'll know of these videos that I made on it. And this was after these videos. I wrote to the museum and I got the actual museum journal sent to me, which is this full study on the Vered Jericho sword. And yes, confirming this is actually a mild steel sword. But in a lot of academic spheres, it's just listed as it's an Iron Age artifact, other reasons. And like, check this out. I have a reference here. Ben, if you could bring up the first reference here. This is from a study on the early, iron artifacts from the Transjordan region, stuff like that. And it's actually listing some of the earliest finds of steel. And I have this section highlighted here, because listen to the wording. It's just why do they do this? And it causes such confusion. And this is one of the, I get it, Metatron, because here's an example of them doing it with iron. And so it says, more striking is the analysis of a small middle-aged iron blade. Okay, small middle-aged iron blade from Pella. So they say, we're talking about an iron blade here. They just call it iron. We're talking about it's a Bronze Age iron blade from Pella, Jordan. Perhaps coming from a miniature notch chisel axe. Then right in the very next sentence it says made of carburized iron, i.e. steel. Do you have this up on the screen on the stream? I'd like people to see what I'm reading off of.
I do now, yes.
Yeah, let's bring it up so they can see. And so the very next sentence they have made of carburized iron, i.e. steel. It was quickly cooled, as indicated by the microstructure, probably by quenching in water. And so in the very same paragraph, they just say it's an iron dagger, but then they go on to say it's actually steel. There's a big difference between steel and iron. Yeah. Frustrating. And it actually legitimately leads to misunderstandings, where somebody actually accused me of lying, trying to say that this sword was actually steel. And this is iron. It's like, no. For some reason in academia, just like they do with copper, and it's interesting, that's why I really like Metatron's video, because I didn't know they did it with copper as well, but it was like, this seems to be a weird standard that happens in academia for some reason, that when talking about a material that's actually an alloy, they just call it after the primary material that's made out of. So if it's bronze, they just say, it's a copper alloy, or just copper. It's like, but it's bronze! And steel, it's like, it's iron. But there's a big difference between steel and iron, I'm just saying. And if they were, I don't know why. I share in the chat, why do they do it? I don't get it. I shared some theories and speculation as to why they did it. But this wasn't the only example. Could we bring up the next example? I'll just really hit this. So that's the next one, the one after that. Yes, this one here. And so again, like another example of doing the exact same thing. And this one is even more frustrating because the iron pick they're talking about here is actually is like a spring steel spit pick. This is hugely significant because remember how I was saying like spring steel is magic, and it's like this is beyond just being mild steel or low carbon steel, medium carbon steel, high carbon steel. This has had the proper quenching and tempering done on it. This is a spring steel pickaxe that dates to the 12th and 11th century. This is something hugely advanced an ancient period, right? And it's amazing. But if you just call it iron, you're just disregarding how significant this pick is. And they say, so the most spectacular find is an iron pick from the 12th to 11th century BC settlement on Mount Adir in northern Galilee. Almost perfectly preserved. The pick has been carburized, quenched, and mildly, let's bring up the next page, Sir Ben, and mildly tempered, okay? All the treatments known in effective steel production until the 19th century. It's like,
wait, so it wasn't just a sword they burnt accidentally. It was an actual... They went through all the process of making it spring steel. It wasn't just coincidental.
Yeah, like this. This pick was looks to be intentionally like hardened and then tempered. And if you harden and temper like high carbon steel, that's what makes it turns into spring steel. Now, what's interesting, like, it really does seem, and the Very Jericho sword is another point of reference, that there's a lot of other artifacts that actually steel artifacts, and some being properly quenched and tempered, that some people knew how to do it intentionally, but not everyone did. Otherwise, why isn't everyone doing it? Okay. And my opinion is that the people who discovered this stuff figured out the mystery, kept it to themselves. It's like it's a hidden secret thing, because that, of course, would make their own skills in high demand and far more valuable and stuff. Especially if a culture knew of it. If you could equip your army with these far superior weapons, right, and you kept the secret into your own culture, that would give you a massive edge, literally and figuratively, against your opponents and stuff. And so that's why, even though some of these earlier steel finds are really early, like I think one might even, don't quote me on this, but I have a memory of one dating almost 3000 BC, but don't quote, I think these are some of the earliest steel artifacts found. But one of the earliest quenched and tempered ones is this pick from this article here. Yeah, like this is full on. And yeah, it seems like even though some people had this a bit, like, knew how to do it so early on, there was a long period where not everyone did, and it took a longer time until it became common, almost, universal knowledge.
Yeah, those guild members and the smiths, they kept it a secret. They should have put it up on GitHub or something. Just released it to the public.
Well, I don't know if they had guilds back then, but I do think they would have had groups or cliques that perhaps that they kept things known in and stuff. So there we go. I loved your video, Metatron. I relate, and I'm just adding more points where, like, they do it broadly as well. So yes, let's ranting. It's like, stop doing it. Just list it what it is. Okay. Yes. Oh, look, carburized iron is still like 99% iron usually. Maybe like something high. Having over 1% carbon is really high carbon. Usually it's like 0.0 something percent. But anyway, so it's even though it's like 99 point whatever percent iron, calling it iron is a big difference because it creates confusion, and there's a big mechanical difference between iron and steel. Okay, let's stop it. Let's, anyway.
Big difference.
Big difference. So there, I got. That was a good ranty one. I wanted to get it off my chest. Okay. So we'll move on to the next segment now. Could I have the? No,
certainly may.
Certainly may. So we had some other things that we're thinking of covering. We had a request for me to actually have a look at some of the swords that are available on Amazon. Do you reckon we could do that? Might not take us too long. Because they were saying, all right, if there was a zombie invasion, right, and the average person just needed a sword-like weapon, which isn't a staff. That's a deep cut right there. Only
swords can be staffs. They're sword staffs.
They can be. There are sword
spears.
Staffs. There are sword staffs. I would say a sword staff is closer to a sword-like weapon than a staff is.
It's more yes, it's like a halfway between a stick-like weapon and a sword-like weapon.
Yeah, it is. Like, it makes sense. You know why a sword staff is a sword-like weapon, Meme Lord?
Because it has a sword on the end.
Because it has a sword on it! It's genius!
Yeah, but it also has a stick on the other end.
It has a stick on the other end. So you could call it a staff-like weapon too. It's a bit of both. But there's a wider difference between a staff which is a regular staff and a regular sword. Much wider difference. So if people actually want true sword-like weapons, now this is interesting. What is a sword-like weapon? Okay, because what I have back here, I would consider swords, but I actually have other sword-like weapons. In actual fact, they should be in here. Squire, our young Squire, sir, could you dig out? It's a one-handed arming sword. It's the Templar sword. It should. Do you know what the Templar cross looks like? It's on the pommel. Maybe Sir Ben knows where it is. If you could dig that out and hand it to me. So Ben might have to go and grab it. Because I will give you an example of what I would also call a sword-like object. Okay? And when people see this, they might think, well, hang on. Yes, that's the one. That's a sword. Is it? Is it? Okay? Yeah, like, it depends how specific. Because there is a general definition of sword where, you know, you could call a wooden sword a sword because it's in the shape of a sword. But is it a real sword? And that's the important distinction. What is a real sword? And therefore, everything that is not a real sword falls into that category that I would call a sword-like object. And so is this a real sword? What qualifies a real sword to be a real sword? Does it have to be made out of metal? I say no. Not necessarily. I would say a real sword needs to be able to be used effectively like a real sword. And that means being
like
made
killing
properly.
people?
Well, not only, more than that, because you can, honestly, you can kill
An
people
axe
with
can
a lot
kill
of things.
people. Is that a
An
sword?
axe, exactly. So it's not just that you can kill people with it. You're absolutely right, Mimlord. I'd actually say if it actually is made to be a sword, well, is this made to be a sword? Made to be a sword, but in the sense that it can be used effectively as a sword. And this thing here, you probably can't see it fully on camera. Its weight is horrendous. This is like a metal bar with a handle. Okay?
I noticed that when I was trying to. I picked it up and it is hefty.
This is heavy. This is
You could bench press it and get jacked, pretty much. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, exactly. And so, in a proper historical context, if someone needed a sword to use to in offense and defense to protect themselves and stuff like that, and if they were handed this, they'd be like, "What is this piece of junk? Are you kidding me?" Now, if you had nothing else, perhaps you're like, "Well, I guess it's better than nothing, maybe." But if they actually had the option, right, between this and something that was made properly for its intended use, you would never pick it. Which is why a lot of Puritans like myself like to call wall hanger swords, which are just made to look or just have the shape of sword-like objects and not actual real swords. It is a very Puritan pendant kind of position. I get that. But in this instance, this is... Sorry, Beamlord, go ahead.
Just thinking, Shad, like if you were saying if you had nothing else to fight with, I don't understand. That thing is a hindrance. If you wanted to kill someone with that, you'd have to like drop it on top of them or something. There's no other way.
I get the hyperbole. There is more than one way, but I get what you're saying. Yeah. And, I would say it's still better than nothing, but it's far from what a real sword should be.
I found a pretty good example, I think.
Yes? Do show us a bit. Because what I suspect here, when we go onto Amazon, we are going to see many sword-like objects and few real swords. And so what's this? Handmade sword, Japanese wakizashi sword, practical, hand-forged, 1045, 1060, 1080. I'm confused. Those are all different grades of steel. Yeah. What grade of steel is it? Hang on. Is it...
Unless they've like layered the metal.
Yeah, so they talk about this is the steel that's been laminated through the forging process. Because technically, if you're being traditional, there are actually more than one traditional way to make a traditional katana. But one of the traditional ways is having different grades of steel. It has a very soft iron core and then a very high carbon. Even it's technically like pig iron. Pig iron is this is where it gets, because people think iron is just iron that has a carbon content lower than steel. No, there's also cast iron, which actually has a carbon content higher than the range of steel. And then you have pig iron, and this is iron usually with a carbon content of 1% or higher. And so you get into that. And cast iron even has it even further. And so it gets a bit confusing. And I wonder, again, that rant that we went on about why do you call it gets confusing and stuff. But so they laminate in the folding process, usually a high carbon steel and a medium carbon steel or something like that from the Tabahagane. And the Tabahagane is usually the higher carbon type of steel, which is equivalent to pig iron and that's why people say katana's pig iron. Well, no, the katana isn't pig iron. It's made out of a portion of pig iron, but through the forging process, it usually loses an amount of carbon and it's laminated in with a lower carbon steel, and so the actual uniform carbon content on the end product is in the functional range, and people mix that up, and so people have said katana's made out of pig iron. It's like that's skewing it. That's warping it out of context. Okay, but I want I don't. Sorry, Meme Lord.
I was just going to say, I was looking through Amazon and I found some really like strange sword, like just parts, you know, like here I drop one in chat. I don't know why they're just selling the hilt alone. You think they'd sell a blade alongside it or something?
We'll have a look. But that Japanese one, so Ben brought up, that was weird. You know, like why was it listing different types, qualities of steel? Maybe you can select the quality of steel you want. This one's that's odd.
Yeah, weird, isn't
To
it?
bring this up.
Okay. The Realm. Are they copying my world setting name? The name of my world campaign setting is the Realm.
I don't know. I just think it's a really weird hilt.
It is. Well, it is like. So there's a couple of problems just like off the bat. It looks too round. The handle. Yeah, you want it. You want one that's nice and kind of flat to index the blade. Okay, it looks a bit too round and bulbous there. The pommel is a bit like the guard is way too thick and cumbersome, but it looks to be made out of plastic as well. So
yeah, it is weird, eh?
like, is it made so you can make your own plastic blade? I don't know. What's the description?
I don't know.
Assuming one.
No, all I could find was that picture.
Okay.
I'll see if I can find a link.
Well, let's see if we can actually find a half decent sword on Amazon. I wasn't sure if that katana one qualified, because if it was actually made out of some of the higher grades of steel that was listing, it would have been all right. But it's like rolling the dice. You don't know. Like,
see, and that's the other thing. Like, I'm no sword expert, but I've actually been looking to purchase my own sword because,
I have a couple of suggestions, man.
Yeah, don't get this Realm Drago thing. It looks weird.
Yeah, and I'm
bad
offended
sword.
that they are using my setting name, and I'm just stating it now. I've used this name for years, all right? And
The
we're
Realm?
role-playing the Realm, yeah. We're role-playing in that setting in the campaign session I'll be running.
Chad, you can't claim that the Realm, in terms of fantasy setting, is your own.
I'm not
I've
saying it's
seen
my
Game of
own.
Thrones.
I'm not saying it's my own. I'm not saying it's my own. I'm saying I didn't copy them when I saw it. I was like, I came to it on my own. I was like, hey, that's a good name. I'm not copying anyone. I know it's been used before. But anyway, I was just saying.
But yeah, so yeah, I'm looking to purchase my own sword, and I'm looking to get one handmade and forged for me, and it's going to cost me almost $1,000.
Really? I thought you were looking at Regenier.
Yes.
Yes, so you're going to get a custom Regenier?
Yep.
Nice. See,
and
this is how proper, you know, if you want to get a sword, like there's a couple of areas you need. Amazon is not the place, okay? There's a couple of sources you can go to get decent quality swords. I recently purchased some from Museum Replicas, and so far, look, they made a mistake. I ordered a blunt one and a sharp one, and they ordered me two sharp, but I sent them an email letting them know, look, hey, you made a mistake. I don't know how I'm going to fix it, because I don't want to pay sending it back and stuff. And they're on the book. They might be trying to rectify it. I don't know what will happen yet, but I'll keep you appraised. Because what I can recommend from Museum Replicas at the moment is that they're very prompt. Their customer service might be really good so far. I don't know. We'll find out about the customer service side of things. But from the time that the order was made to when I actually received the item, really quick. The turnaround time was good. And that's where I bought my windless English two-handed. Right there. That's it's a nice one. And so there are a couple of other companies. So Regenier is considered really high quality. Lockwood, I have that's my long sword. I've got a Lockwood. That's my green long sword. People see it's really good quality. And then of course you got Albion, which is like, but the Lockwood one is, you know, people have reviewed it like Skyrim and saying this is in the Albion range of quality. Windless is the more the more affordable usually. But I tell you what, like I'm really happy with that windlass English two-handed. Like that's really impressive. But I think there are a couple. I think maybe the edge bevel might be too steep on the sharp one. So there'll be a couple of things that might warrant further consideration. All right. So what do we have here? So Ben, is this up on the? Can people see it? So let's bring at least this up, and we'll scroll through a bit. And gosh, okay. Yeah. So we looked at this one. The Ace Martial Arts Supply Classic Crane Super Handmade Samurai Katana. $58? Hang on. This is $58?
It's quality for money. You get tons of quality with that.
Like...
It's the super handmade, extra great special mayonnaise taken off. It's just the best, man. It's the best.
The price of some of these make me question their quality a lot.
And that's what I was saying about the katana. I mean, a hand-forged, heat-treated and tempered blade for...
Yeah, how much was that? $200?
$213.
Though, no, like that's actually in the range where you might, if that's US, you might be able to get it'll be mass produced. Okay, we're not talking about like a custom, handmade piece. Okay, but I recently bought some katanas that was of good quality steel, and they're basic. Squire, could you grab me one of my katanas? It's appeared on the channel, I think, even briefly on the new toys, in my new toys video on Shadowversity. I show off one of my katanas. And so, all I was after was decent quality steel. And, like, in terms of the steel quality and blade profile stuff, pretty darn good. Everything else is really plain, like super plain. The Suba is just, like, nothing on it. So I'll grab this. Thank you, Squire.
What's the Suba?
The Suba is the disc guard around the hilt.
Ah.
You learn something every day,
I
don't
didn't
you?
know that.
Yeah. So this is...
Oh, I learn something every day.
Yeah. So, the blade on this is actually... I'm being impressed with. It is... I forget what type of steel. It's not like... It's like... But it's a high-quality tool steel, really hard. The handling in the hand, it feels really good with this one. And it's really sharp. Look how plain the Suba is, though. The Suba's got, like, nothing on it. And it's got the most basic kind of... pattern or image on the underside, and so this is actually really affordable, and I got it just from a store, a supplier in Australia that basically mostly sells wall hangers, crappy wall hangers and all that things. But I actually have been surprised you can get some half decent. When I say half decent, like blade quality decent swords at a really cheap price. I think this one was probably around $400. But I have seen some that are half decent, even around the 200 range, which is surprising.
It's actually a little known fact that even the cheapest of katanas can actually cut through pretty much any European sword. It's basically because it's slightly curved a little bit. That's why it can cut through virtually any substance known to man. I guess I'm fired. I'll catch you guys probably never.
He's banished. He's gone. We're just going to banish him temporarily. I know. But whoa, you are on thin ice there, but you have... All right, let's go back to the Amazon swords. You have triggered the chat.
Yes. Rage. I consume their dread.
He really does. You'll just feed him. Your rage will just make him stronger.
Okay. Nice Chianti.
And some flava beans. I have not seen that movie, but I have seen a parody movie of Lethal Weapon, and I can't remember the name.
Oh, it's I know the movie, the one with Emilio Estevez and Samuel L. Jackson.
That's the one. Yes. That's the parody, and so they parody a lot of other movies in it, and they parody Silence of the Lambs in it. And the guy's
Is it called Lethal Kill or something like that?
Oh, I can't remember, but it's like they're talking about cookies or brownies or something like that. And it's like, I would love to taste the brownies with some flava beans and a nice chill. And then instead of doing the thing, he does this. It's just I love like random goofy humor sometimes. Just his is like gold.
And they came bounding over. That's another good one.
Oh, I'm pull up the video now.
Chat will probably mention the movie if we can. Well, what's the name? Do you guys? Yeah.
Loaded Weapon, I'm pretty sure.
Loaded.
Weapon.
I think that's it. I think it's Loaded Weapon.
I love that
One of those
movie.
great goofy parody movies. That's when the parody movies were good, right? Like Hot Shots.
It ended with Scary Movie 2.
But see, yeah, as soon as the scary movies ones tried it, it's like, no, they're not doing it. But the classic ones, like Hot Shots. Do you remember Hot Shots?
Yep, Naked Gun. That's another incredible series.
Naked Gun, Hot Shots, Loaded Weapon. That's it now.
Airplane. Flying High.
Pretty
Yeah,
much any
that's
Mel
another one.
Brooks film as well.
Sorry, what was that?
Pretty much any Mel Brooks film as well.
Or Leslie Nielsen.
Oh yeah, Robin Hood,
Oh,
Men in Tights.
Love it.
Love it.
Oh,
I haven't watched that one yet.
What?
You got to.
Yeah, I'll download that
It
after
is
this.
so good.
I mean, you are going to stream it from a reputable source? Of course you are. Of course.
Stream it from Netflix.
Stream it. Okay, so back to the swords. So let's have a look. Let's
streaming now.
look at this piece of junk. Wow, this looks like
It looks fancy.
no, it looks like garbage. Like oof. How much is this one? This is like $34. I bet some of those fittings are almost plastic, I would say, or aluminium or something like that. Like that looks rough. Don't get fooled into something like this, right? That is
Not pretty.
that is a royal piece of junk. Now, in terms of fantasy design, it's only $35, right? In terms of fantasy, tell the stream. In terms of fantasy designs, look, if it's actually made out of good quality steel, that is a fancy design. But clearly, this is like they make a blank, right, and then they have a mold that they mass produce and stuff to get the fittings on and everything. But I've had a sword like this actually back in the day. Back in it. Please don't judge me. Okay, it was a gift to my brother, and my brother then didn't want it. He gave it to me, and it was. And the actual guard was plastic, but it had a metal blade, but it was rough. All right, so we'll go back to so that one's. Is there a decent? Oh, it's a Lord of the Rings knockoff. Okay, this is Vulcan Gear Medieval Crusader sort of thing. They're not even calling it Lord of the Rings. It's like they're too ashamed to. Oh, they'll probably get caught up for I don't know because there's enough differences in the most specific details, like how the gaps are in the crossguard and things, right? That they can probably get away with, like, oh, it's not really the sword, but it's a knockoff of Narsil, or what's the name of the sword? Because I get confused.
Narsil, yeah.
Narsil, but there's another name for it. And I think
they've got tons of names for everything in Lord of the Rings. It's all just synonyms. They've got like 50 names for Gandalf.
It looks like they have a Sting replica there. It's called the Steel Medieval Roman Fantasy Black Sword Dagger. Sword Dagger? I don't know.
This sword isn't called Sting, it's called Prick.
Made by the same type of... No, I'm not going there. Yeah, so it's funny. Like China, they do not care about copyright laws at all, and they rip off patents all the time, and it's the same type of stuff here.
China.
Yeah. Oi, we'll
Excuse me.
Right
China.
now we're on a minefield. We're stepping carefully, but this shouldn't be too controversial. It's like they rip off copyright laws all the time. They don't give a stuff, and so a lot of these companies in China can just rip off it, like intellectual IP, like sword design stuff like that, and just flog them out on the internet, whatever. And so that's what I think we're seeing here with these Lord of the Rings knockoffs and stuff. But is there a good sword?
They do it with Warhammer as well. Except they're better quality models when they're stolen.
Are they?
Yes.
That could be a very controversial
Don't
statement.
do me like that, man.
Sometimes, man, just saying.
No. I refuse to accept it.
So far, we're not seeing anything particularly good. I mean, Look at these $26 ninja sword knockoff things. Interesting.
Engraved.
If they're decent steel, but then you have the weight balance and handling and things like that, and it's like, then you're not getting in an area that works well. Can you buy? Is there a decent quality sword on Amazon? Maybe we're just doing that. This is right now. Have you done a search swords? No, this is coming up as martial arts swords. It says, let's change the search parameters and just do sword. You can just flat sword.
Oh, I hope the sword that I doesn't come up.
I did this last
Okay, we
time,
might have
I
to be
think.
careful, but sword, just flat sword.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, it's the Master Sword.
It's sorted by feature. I wonder what they determine is a featured sword on Amazon. Because
What if you sort by lowest price to highest? That way you'll get the cheapest pieces of crap you can
but
find.
we
on
want
the
to see
site.
if you can actually find a half decent sword. So let's do highest price to lowest. We're going to sort by that and give it every chance. Oh, excuse me.
Whew, $10,000.
$10,000 katana. This thing. My goodness, it better be able to wash your. Well, look. I was going to say, better
You know
be
how
able to wash your
katanas can
car.
cut through anything?
This
That one
better.
can cut through any katana. It's the only thing that can
Uber
stop them.
katana.
But hey, it's free shipping, so we're good.
Oh, that makes it worthwhile. All right, we need information. I need to come in close here. Or can you make the text bigger? Zoom in a bit for us there, Sir Ben, so I can read it. Okay. It says, "Dear valued buyer, please be careful. Look at our blah blah blah. Blade condition, traditional, hand forged, plus ancient methods, old traditional method, quenching, hardening, heat treating process, plus lapping."
I don't want my sword to lick me.
Hang on. Lapping and polishing in whetstone. Okay, maybe is there a polishing technique called lapping? I thought they were getting misspeaking and trying to say laminated, but lapping. Okay, maybe I'm
$10,000. Wow.
okay. Sword type, high quality, hand forged.
A Tori Hanzo sword, probably.
Okay, it says everything that coming up with lapping is referring to some sort of Asian blade, and it's always on Amazon or eBay or something like that. So, yeah.
Okay. So, for me, from what I'm seeing here,
Apparently there is a forging technique called lapping.
there we go.
Yeah.
That was me being in the wrong. I will admit it. Happy to do that. Okay. I would be very reluctant to trust it, but like one of the concerning things that happens on Amazon, right, is that they will get pictures of something high quality to represent the item they're buying, and then flog off something that isn't actually that. And we have a friend of the channel, Knight Errant. Okay, he makes great videos, usually focused around medieval armor. And he also does a bit of photography. You know, if you're following on Facebook, you'll see some of the pictures that he has. And he has these great pictures of his kit, his harness, his high quality, historically accurate medieval gear. And so some people have stolen, like he posted this on Facebook and shared it one time, stole one of his pictures of his kit, all right, and it has his face on it, and then use that picture as the item they're selling on Amazon. That's how disingenuous some of these sellers can be. And so I don't know. I was like, because when I look at this picture here, I don't know if you could move it to show the blade there, Sir Ben, because we got the edge of the blade on the screen there. But looking at one of the close-in zoom pictures of the thing, we're seeing like the Hammond line from the differential hardening there, and so okay, like if that's genuine, that might be worth the price, but you just don't know. It's like shooting in the dark. I wouldn't risk it. Like if I was gonna spend $10,000 on a sword, I'd be going through to the maker directly, right, or a reputed reseller of that brand online. Okay, with testimonials, people saying, giving feedback. There are some reviews of this. Like, are there reviews actually? There were ratings. There's 2 ratings, but are there actual reviews?
If there ever was a person that would spend $10,000 on a single sword, it would be you.
Look at this rating. It's okay. It's fine. Not worth 10k, but that's someone's heartbreaking.
It's from Gabe. Is it from Gabe Newell?
It's from Gabe. He's like, this poor guy Gabe. He bought a $10,000 sword. It's like, it's fine. It's not worth 10,000. It's fine.
He used it to cut the only copy of Half-Life 3 in half.
Oh, you poor bloke, Gabe. I feel so sorry for you.
Yeah, but then there's another one from an Amazon customer that says, amazing Quake Kitty.
That's the person who wrote that review definitely could speak English and was definitely not from the company.
I just want to report
Ducks love katanas.
That's hilarious. All right, let's go back to the highest price down. If there's any other ones, they're all a lot of these high prices are all Asian. Look at this one, Asian style sword. Hang on, katana.
It looks like they're all the same company.
Are these all?
Like that one looks more like something.
That's a Chinese sword. Why are they calling it a katana? What's going on? China? Is it because everyone does the search keyword katana and they want it to come up in searches? It's not a katana.
I mean,
why they're all $10,000?
I can get one off the shelf for you if you want, because you got one up there.
Not one of those exactly. I have a Tai Chi sword. Is that the one you're thinking? Oh yeah, it's not exactly that.
They're all $10,000.
Yeah, these ones are all 10,000. Oh, look at this one's 10,000.
Oh,
that one looks like a piece of junk.
Now, I think this might be a bit of a fast one being pulled on people looking for swords.
I wonder, like, because this is, look at all these 10,000. Now we're getting to 8,000 here. It's like, I wouldn't trust these. And why, like, look, nothing against Asian swords. I prefer good old European ones, of course.
Is that a Damascus blade back up there?
Look at this. Handmade Damascus steel. It's 129. Hang on, did we? No, we're not jumping. This is just like a featured section.
Yeah, there's one a little bit up. I don't know if it was Damascus steel, but
okay, that one's interesting. Because you can do a fake pattern on the surface, but this one, that one looks like.
Yeah, just give me a crayon. I could do it.
That one looks like it. It might be. But still, what are the reviews for this one? It's got no reviews. Oof. But that last review, that one done it for me. It was like, that was just so honest. It's like, it's not as good. It's not worth it. It's okay. It's just.
Let's look at the cheap swords. I want to see the cheap ones.
Hang on. I want to keep going until we actually see a European type of sword. And when I say, like, I have a preference for European type of swords, not to say I don't love a lot, like, because European swords are a big category. And so there are a lot of Asian swords that I prefer over many types of European swords. But my top favorite, of course, longsword, war sword, my new one is like, I love that one. That's my new favorite sword at the moment. Yeah, and so what if I was after a longsword here, okay? And I'm just getting katana, Chinese sword. And if that's what you're after, but still, I would, you know, I wouldn't be trusting you at the moment. But man, where's a decent longsword? We're going, we're not finding it. Man, we might have to give up. I don't know.
Maybe you have to specify European sword or longsword.
Maybe type in longsword. We'll type in all one word.
Books. Oh no, there's the swords.
A sword that is long. A long sword. Okay, so hey, they're selling rolling synthetic sparring swords. I've got a couple of those on the shelves just over there. But
okay, so even with longsword, when I go highest price, it still comes up with katanas.
But hang on. Let me go show. We got a $700.
Oh wait, I didn't see that.
$700 longsword there, and cold steel. Wonder what price.
Witcher replica.
We got a Lord. Hey, this one is actually a Lord of the Rings. That's the other one. Undril. Undril is the other name for that one. I see. I couldn't remember it. And then we get to Lord of the Rings replica and cold steel ones. Cold steel is generally considered a lower. Look, out of the swords that can be functional, cold steel is kind of generally on the lower end of them. There are some notable exceptions in reviews where like, hey, this is actually pretty good. But I would certainly say Cold Steel is a lot better quality than a lot of the wall hangers. Like, they're better than this piece of junk, right? And so Cold Steel, the Cold Steel swords are not considered wall hangers. And there are some half decent examples here and there. So I'm just going to quickly go through to... But this one...
Hey, they've got the Braveheart Sword. Gosh. And it's very historically accurate.
Brave? What?
Literally looks nothing like the sword from the movie.
Really? But looking at this one, this is $700. Okay. And it is absolute trash. Look at the hilt on this thing. Look at how bulbous. Whoa! Look at how thick that hilt is.
What's wrong with the thick hilt? If the blade doesn't work, you can always hit them with the hilt.
That's like a brick for a hilt right there. And the handle is round. Like that's a round head. I was going to say spherical. It's not spherical. It's it's a tube. It's like a tube. What's the shape of? It's a cylindrical handle. Thank you, Subin. It's a fully cylindrical handle there. The wrapping looks. This is a piece of garbage, right?
Maybe it's one of those really heavy ones.
That costs more than my new favorite. That costs more than my windless English two-hander. All right.
Let's just have a look at the thickness of the crossguard on there.
Look at the thickness of the crossguard on this. All right, or on this one. Let's try. Do you see the thickness of the crossguard on this? Right. Compare it to the thickness of the crossguard. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Right. You could almost buy 2 of these for the price of that. That's amazing.
I kind of like the thick. So there's no use for a thick crossguard.
10 minutes on the battlefield and you would be absolutely jacked.
Why? What?
Yeah, level up quickly.
For weight training, is that where you're going with it? It's like it's gonna be a really good training sword.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I can't believe that's $700. That is such a piece of garbage, and you can tell just by looking at it. They say full tang, sharp edge, functional sword is 100% pure hand forged by using traditional hand forged method. Man, I hope I'm not ragging out like there's this, small business guy making swords that is selling on Amazon, because there are actually some genuine, well-intentioned craftsmen that sell stuff through Amazon. I bought one of my first bows through Amazon by a guy that not Amazon, eBay. It was eBay. eBay is one of the areas where some of the good intentioned people sell stuff. So I actually don't know about Amazon. But yeah, I'm wondering, this is like some good intention, making hand forged swords and everything like that. And they're putting it up on Amazon. It's like, we look at it I'm sorry, even if this is someone doing their best, that is a garbage sword. You would have to pay me to own that sword. That's how reluctant I would be to even have it in my possession, because it's that garbage. Oh, gosh.
Lame swords.
Yeah, so, swords on Amazon. So far, I'm not impressed. Not impressed. If you're after a if you're after a Lord of the Rings replica wall hanger, sure, I reckon you could get a half decent. Oh, look, you can get Cold Steel, great sword there. And if you're after, when I say half decent, something that actually looks good. Look, yeah, you could get Lord of the Rings sword on Amazon, sure. I mean, how much is this one? Where's the price? Where's the price? Is it not available in Australia? Sometimes they don't list pricing if it's not available in Australia.
It's hard to deliver here. All the snakes and spiders and sharks.
Yeah,
one doesn't simply walk into Australia.
One doesn't simply. The very air you breathe. It's obnoxious gas.
Really hot.
This is really, the very air you breathe is really hot. I'm sure you do it. When seriously, it is so hot. It is.
You get a really bad case of cooked lungs in Australia.
You get cooked lungs, and it's so hot. So hot. Sorry, I'm just picturing Boromir. It's so hot.
Well, you're cancelled for making that hand sign right there. Okay,
I know,
fine. I'm sorry, guys. Jeez, I really killed the mood just then.
Yeah, you really did. Thanks. Because like poor Boromir, who's just like, he's trying to,
Great eye.
and it's okay. I know. Yeah, I know where you're going with that. We'll put the axe down.
Shad, you ought to do. You know how the EFAP guys.
Yeah.
You know how the EFAP guys do their like movie stuff. Why don't you do that? But for like start with Lord of the Rings and then just do all the other fantasy medieval movies.
I don't know. It'd take too long. How long have we been streaming for? Actually, what's our runtime?
We are currently sitting at.
Because I think it might be time to start wrapping up. That was a fun segment, though.
That was 1.5 hours.
Yeah. So, yeah. Ending thoughts on eBay swords? Looks like most of them are junk. I would not trust the and even those really fancy ones. The reviews were shady. But if you're after something like a wall hanger, you might be able to find a half decent wall hanger like a Lord of the Rings replica, and or a cold steel something. Yeah. But if you're after something decent, don't do Amazon.
Yeah, unless you want to. Yeah, do not journey forth with those swords. They're bad.
Alrighty, so let's take us back to the our notes for this session of game night. I think that's everything.
You don't want to miss anything.
Yeah, I think that's everything. Like we were thinking maybe talk. Actually, look, it's only been an hour and a half. Maybe it's worth having our talk on WandaVision and have a bit of a discussion amongst ourselves on adaptation. Because I'm having fun, and
Yeah, me too. We got time to kill.
We got time. Okay, so so all right, WandaVision. Okay,
I haven't seen it, by the way.
so Ben hasn't seen it. Squire, have you seen WandaVision?
Yes, I watched the most recent one last night.
Mm-hmm. And Meme Lord, have you watched WandaVision?
I have not seen it yet. I haven't paid for Disney Plus yet.
Okay. So two haven't seen it. I want to avoid spoilers. Okay, so we won't spoil things. But overall, my impression is, if I was to, try and summarize my impression, is meh and huh? Those two articulate words that carry such defined meaning summarize my feelings on WandaVision quite nicely. How about you there, Squire? Does that summarize your feelings?
Yeah, I tried watching it last night with my parents, and it was on for about 2 minutes, and my dad was like, "What the heck is this?" And I tried explaining it to him, and he's like, "I don't get it. Like, why don't they just get to the good bit?" And yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of Easter eggs and clues, but it's been 2 weeks now, and I'm still not satisfied.
Yeah, like
just wait 2 more weeks, they'll get to it.
That could be the logo for this whole series is, when does it get good? Can we get to the good part? Because I thought they were like, is there something there? I thought there might have been. I was expecting that there would be in the first few episodes, but there wasn't. And I'm wondering if and now I'm thinking, all right, they're not going to get to anything that's half decent or interesting until the end. They're dragging it out. The part that I thought was going to be a bit of a gimmick, okay, that only dive in occasionally in the show, is the whole show. And it's like, huh.
And what is that part?
So, by the trailers, this isn't a spoiler, by the trailers, that it's based off of one of those really old, is it sitcoms? Like,
yeah, like the old TV shows, yeah.
Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie. They were on reruns when I was a kid, but these things were made in, the 50s? These are old shows, okay? And I found them boring back then. And now, with the quality that, TV shows can get to, there's some really bad quality stuff out there, trust me still, but the quality that things can get to.
Yeah, expect Game of Thrones level quality.
Well, I mean, this...
Maybe not, actually.
Going back to the way TV was done back then, right, is baffling, because, it takes a very specific type of person who could still watch Bewitched, like the whole series, and enjoy every episode. It's like, it's painful for me now. But that's what WandaVision is. And yeah, they're trying to do it, but it's beyond, they're being so faithful in parody to it. It's literally like one of those shows. And
Yeah.
even the jokes and the humor, I was like, And so, it's baffling.
It's weird because like their audience isn't people who watched I Dream of Jeannie, you know?
Exactly.
It's the nerds. It's nerds like us, basically.
Yeah, like
watch the MCU.
MCU stuff. That's what we're kind of thinking of. And so I was thinking, okay, this was my assumption, and this isn't a spoiler because this is what I thought the show would be structured like. Okay, and I thought it would be that Scarlet Witch is struggling with the loss of vision, and she's created this, this fictional world that she goes into in her own mind to cope. And then she only dives in occasionally. And then she would come out of it doing, stuff perhaps more related to MCU, actually see stuff that's interesting, but that this was only a small part of the whole show. And that would make it more engaging because that would mean it's like, when will she break free of it, okay? And it'll be like this interesting kind of dynamic between falling into the fictional reality world and everything, but it's not like that. It's like, and this...
We could have done a psychological thing, You
know what annoys me about this? The guy who plays Vision, I forget his name, okay?
Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany? I love that actor. I think he's great. Like, I was introduced to Paul Bettany in A Knight's Tale, and A Knight's Tale is one of my flaming most favourite films, okay? And he rocked it. That was like one of his first films-ish, I think.
I think so.
It was around there. It's like, and he was so awesome in that film. My Lord Ulrich, we stand in the, things of his munificence.
It's brilliant.
I love that movie. I love that movie. And in all honesty, all the people in that movie just hit it out of the park with their characters. The bad guy, look, he sells it as the bad guy, but it's the main character. And so, who's the guy? Is there he plays the redhead in it?
Yeah. What?
What? Like because he's been in a couple.
What is his name?
He was in Serenity, Firefly. And I like him as an actor too.
Yeah. He was.
He's an iRobot. He's in everything.
Yeah, and so this is the thing, right? That was the first movie I ever saw him in, and I thought that was just his accent, his voice, because he sells the accents. Alan Tudyk. He sells the accents so well, and it's like, it's called a lance. Hello. Like, I will fong you.
Your entrails will become
your entrails. Become your extrails. Your extrails become your entrails. I will fong you. I love that movie, right? It's got some of the greatest one-liners and stuff, right? And so when I saw him, I think it was like Transformers when I saw him next, and he's doing this or Serenity, he's doing this regular American accent. I was like, it threw me because I was so used to him as what? Is it what?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, so there we go. And so anyway, the guy who plays Vision, love him, right? And I was ready to dive into One Division because he was going to be in it. And on all honesty, I think he, like, out of anyone, he is probably doing the best with what's available. Because he's a good actor, but he has very little to work with, unfortunately. And the show is just meh and that's it. That's the summary. So
meh.
Meh. Alright, so those are my thoughts on One Division. There we go. I felt that was worth a discussion. Now, look, actually, maybe we'll have to do our discussion on adaptation a bit later, because I do want to get through the super chats.
Yep.
So let's start wrapping up with all the super chats. Thank you to everyone who's done it. And look, there might not be many, so I don't know. We'll see how we go. But if we get the super chats up, and we'll go through it.
Okay. Okay, hello there, Shad. Hope you're having a great day. Out of curiosity, how practical do you think a bladed tonfa would be? Love your vids.
Depends where the blades. Okay, so there's practicality and there's lethality. I think you could possibly get away with it being as practical as a regular tonfa. Not necessarily more practical. But you can hold the tonfa on any position that you can regularly hold a tonfa. Does everyone know what I know what a tonfa is? You know.
I have one question for you, Chad.
Yes,
What's a
Lord?
tonfa?
Yeah, there we go. See,
I'll pull up a picture of the tonfa.
I was just going. I was like, tonfa this, tonfa that. I was like, what's a tonfa? They're also some you might know what they're called nightsticks if in the police force, which is weird. Like I don't consider that a nightstick. That's not a stick a knight would use. Clearly, the stick a knight would use.
Slowly.
Yeah, a night stick. Clearly, a stick a knight would use it would be like a Goddendag or something. That's a stick a knight would use, right?
Yes. Good day, sir.
Good day, sir. But is this up on stream now?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a nightstick version of a tonfa. Tonfa, I actually buried away somewhere, probably in the shed. I have martial art tonfas, and because I've done martial arts. Of course I have.
Hurt people.
And I have.
I've seen the video on your YouTube video of where you took that guy down.
So here we go. Tonfas. There's a martial art version of tonfa. And so putting blades on like even every point on it wouldn't exclude you from being able to hold it by those points. And so I don't think it'll reduce the practicality of them. So they'd be as practical as they would normally be. How practical are they normally? I might be contrary. Look, of course it's better than nothing, of course. I'm somewhat skeptical as to them being the best things ever. That you get some additional, lethality out of them. But are they a brilliant weapon? I'm not sure.
I mean, like, I'm not an expert on tonfa, but they kind of strike me as the kind of weapon that you would have to have extremely specialized training in order to be able to use effectively.
Well, there are a lot of fancy moves you can do with them, which is why I think they're quite popular in martial arts, because you can spin them around and do all these cool things and stuff. But you have to understand, a lot of those flashy moves you would never do in real combat. In real combat, if you're actually fighting, flashiness can go out the window. You're about practical, functional, effective, what works, okay? I reckon they would be far more. The most use and leverage you can get out of them is not when you hold them, where it's lining up with your elbow and stuff, but when you hold them like a club, essentially, and you have far more leverage, you can do far more damage and things, and that's where they would work decently. But when you use them like that, they're just kind of like a glorified stick, with something on the ends to concentrate the force, which is all right. That's not bad, but I mean, like if you're using them like that. If you have a blade on the end, so if you're holding the stick up and there's that outy point with the stick on it, is it like a kammer then, or just a pick? But you can poke with it. So anyway, I would say about as functional, effective as normal, but definitely more lethal if you have blades on them. And so adding the blades would definitely increase lethality. Are they? Look, they're definitely like effective weapons, but are they effective than other weapons? That's up for debate, and we'll leave it there. Okay. There are a lot of weird weapons in martial arts. Some that are just goofy and honestly, like, have you seen the crescent blades? Where it's like a circle there and a circle there.
That's nothing. 3-jointed stick.
The 3-jointed.
Or is it or is it 2-jointed stick?
We are going to be triggering martial artists in the chat. Like, I know we will be. Okay. My video on Mulan, where I just point out that there are martial arts that teach very impractical things, and that's just truth. There are other martial arts that teach very practical and functional, effective things. I'm not bragging on them, but the impractical ones I'll call out. But even then, in that video, I triggered some people, and they're like, "Shut up, dude!" What can we do? All right, next super chat.
Okay, here we go. Will you ever do a Shadowversity collaboration with the Star Wars versus community, like Gen Sarai 1 and even Nova, to break down Star Wars fights?
Don't know. Probably not in Fight Scene Autopsy. Fighting Autopsy, I like to be kind of just me doing a whole deep dive and stuff. Open discussions type of stuff. I'm always happy to have discussions with people. I've actually never heard of these content creators, unfortunately. There's a lot that I don't know of. But hey, if their content's cool and they're cool people, it's always possible. Something might be possible in the future. But yeah, there we go. Thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it.
I should actually read out the names. Phantom Dragon says, been watching for several years now and thoroughly enjoyed Shadow of the Conqueror. Looking forward to the sequel.
Thank you, sir. I'm very pleased you like it. Oh, I love hearing that.
Deef says, thoughts on Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian. Also, Knights of the Cross, written by YouTuber Real Crusades History.
Oh, sorry, could you repeat that last part after Luke Mandalorian?
Are you going to watch Knights of the Cross, written by YouTuber Real Crusades History?
Possibly, very possibly. I've seen some of Real Crusader History's video, and the Crusades are a very interesting topic, but it's also difficult. I do appreciate his angle and take on it. I think, because this is the thing, a lot of history, whether you like it or not, is up to interpretation depending on what, I guess accounts or sides or things that you're either focusing on in terms of your own study or even emphasizing at points. And so I really dislike when one side gets over-focused and one side gets underplayed to fit a narrative. And I'm not saying Real Crusader History does that. I actually feel he was doing that in response to counteract a lot of the bullcrap that is out there about the Crusades. And there is a heap of bullcrap. But having said that, I don't want the pendulum to swing too far in the opposite direction, because we can't forget some of the other counterbalances and elements that the Crusades are a really interesting thing about the whole socio-political environment that, trigger them off and stuff like that. And so...
All Crusades are just...
Put down the axe.
All of them. All of them.
That's it. That's a full-blown... Too deep there. That's a full-blown double-edged axe of edginess. Put that axe down, meme lord.
Apologize. But it is down, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. But I do really appreciate, because like I said, I've seen some of his video, and I do appreciate his perspective on the Crusades. And so, yeah, I'm very well will be more than willing to check out what he's bringing out. Okay, and the first part, my thoughts of Luke Skywalker. I have complex feelings about it.
I still haven't seen to the end of The Mandalorian yet.
Have you had that spoiled about?
Yes, I have had it spoiled. Okay. But
most people know that. Like, that's why I was like, look, it is kind of spoiled, but most people know it by now. It's like everywhere on YouTube. If you look up anything Star Wars, you're gonna see the deep fake of Luke somewhere in a thumbnail.
And it was a bad deep fake as well.
Wasn't the best deep fake either.
The community ones are much better.
They are there are community deep fakes that do a way better job. It's like, why can't you hire these people, Disney? So it's very confusing. All right, so just surface thoughts. I loved that they were showing Luke in his prime and not turning him into a milk sucking. Sorry, excuse. Yeah. I hated the treatment and depiction of Luke in the sequel trilogy. The sequel trilogy. Yes. Yeah. And so it did me very happy. I was very happy about the treatment of Luke in The Mandalorian. And that's what fans have been wanting that for ages, to see Luke in his prime kicking butt. Why couldn't you just give us that?
Not in The Mandalorian. Not in The Mandalorian, man. And they shouldn't have deep faked him. They should have just used who's the guy that plays Winter Soldier? He looks exactly like Mark Hamill, like prime Mark Hamill. Should have just used him.
Oh, so Ben is like almost gagging. What are you thinking, Sir Ben?
I think I disagree.
You disagree? I'm happy to have a really intense and needlessly aggressive conversation with you about it.
Well, come over here and have it.
I expect
You're
weapons.
within crusading distance.
Yep. Yeah, I expect weapons, I expect bloodshed, and no mercy. We'll figure that out soon. Okay, so I do have more complex feelings of The Mandalorian. Overall, I enjoyed it. It was fun. Yet, I think it's also a bit exploitative to the fans, to the point where they kind of have... John Favreau and Dave Filoni have clued on the fact what fans want, and they're really milking it. And look, is that a bad thing? I don't think it's bad giving fans what they want, but doing it so much to try and hide certain shortcomings, because The Mandalorian is not perfect. The show, there are some big issues with it. And if you just look at, if you want to rewatch The Mandalorian and just think about consistency and plot structure, okay, you're going to find some interesting things.
No, but Chad, they're completely consistent. It's the same plot every single time. Go to this planet. This person needs you to do a thing so you can talk to this other person you need to speak to so you can eventually get this green kid back to a Jedi. Even though that they already found 3 different Jedi along the way, I'm pretty sure. They got Ahsoka. Why don't they just give it to Ahsoka? Stupid!
Well, Ahsoka said she would train him, and then she flipped on it and said, "No, I'm not going to train him."
Yeah, where have we heard that before?
Look, we won't go into a full deep dive review of Mandalorian. I'm half tempted because, well, I mean, it's like the Mandalorian is this treat the fans have been wanting. It's the lollipop. There's this little, you imagine this little child who's a fan. It's like, I finally get they've been wanting their lollipop for so long, and they finally get it, and they're enjoying it. And I don't yet want to be the person who comes around and says, guess what? That lollipop, slap it out of your hands. It sucks. You can
I'll
still
do
enjoy
that
it.
if you don't want to. Then
Yeah, I know you will. No, look,
I'll be the one.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed The Mandalorian, but if you look at it, through some certain standards, you're going to find some interesting problems. And so,
the spaceships were beautiful, and the armor looks really cool. The production value is great.
The
but
production
everything
value
else.
is awesome. I love the production value. I love that they were willing to give the fans what they wanted in a lot of ways. Fan service, which is great. Finally, it didn't feel like they were insulting the fans either, or belittling them, or trying to lecture them, or anything like that.
There was too much fan service.
There was lot of, I wonder if they might be exploiting it almost.
Knee rockets, Shad. Knee rockets. Rockets. Now, I love that scene because that guy's Kiwi and he's representing, right? But still, like, knee rockets, are you kidding me? Oh, man.
All right. Thank you for your super chat. We do appreciate it. But maybe we'll do a whole segment coming up on just Mandalorian.
Yeah, I'll just smash out.
I mean, if you really want, watch EFAP reaction videos. I'm on one of them. And look, like, Maul and Rags are particularly merciless, but that's because they didn't enjoy it either. They dislike it. I can point out a lot of the flaws, but I also have been able to enjoy it because of the fan service, because of the production values and stuff. And so I'm not as, like, burn this thing, basically.
I am.
You are?
Just for the knee rockets. Just the knee rockets with a final... Those knee rockets didn't hit the stormtroopers. They hit me in the soul. They were knee rockets aiming at me.
Right in the soul. All right. I understand. I understand your frustration. All right, we'll move on. Next super chat.
Okay, Austin Huff says, do or will you do fan mail? If yes, or soon to be yes, I have an idea for an item, but I don't want to reveal what it is until you get it.
Okay, yes. I'm not sure where I list it publicly, but I have a PO box you can send stuff to if you like. It is PO Box 500, Moe, spelled M-O-E, Victoria, Australia, postcode 3825. I wonder if it's in the About section on my YouTube channel. That might be
that guy really covered all of his bases with that super chat. Every option. Just read it out again. He's making sure you don't get a word in.
But yeah, so you can send stuff to the PO box, and thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. It's not to say I will if you send me books, I'll read the books or things like that. But I do appreciate the gesture always. Okay.
And on that note, Zeta Ziggy says, when do you think you might be able to do the video on fan-submitted books?
When did I say I'd do a video on fan-submitted books?
You didn't.
I don't remember. And because someone asked me last time about being able to read one of their books as well. And the unfortunate thing is time, okay? And because one of the greatest ways for me to actually get through some of the books that I really like to get into is audiobooks. I'm a massive fan of audiobooks. That's why Audible is one of my biggest sponsors on Shadowversity and stuff. And even then, I'm still having trouble. Like I mentioned last thing is that Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. I'm not through it yet. And so I have so little time. I haven't even finished it. And I consulted on that book, and this is with it being on audiobook on top of it. And so at the moment, with where I am, my work and life and things like that, unfortunately, I'm not going to get to reading physical hard copy books from anyone.
I cannot.
And this is even including some of my favorite authors and stuff. And so, what
I can actually answer this. I can actually answer this super chat. Your answer was wrong. Mine's right, and I can tell them how they can get you to read their books. Get Michael Kramer to narrate it.
Michael Kramer to narrate it. Then you have a chance.
If Michael Kramer reads it, Shad will listen.
There will be... I wonder if they're talking about when I do a writing video reviewing people's samples. That could be what you're asking. And
Well, you do like a short story. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I don't know when I will get to do my next one. There are writing videos I'm planning to do, but as writing review ones, I still would want to do it sometime. I don't think anytime soon at the moment. And the reason being is that, again, Shadowversity is in a state where the channel needs to maintain momentum, and so I need to focus on videos that are going to get the views it needs, because as I mentioned in the beginning introductory portion of game night, is if I put out a video that gets far fewer views, that actually affects the views that the next video will get, and then that impacts sponsorships and things like that, and also ad revenue and stuff, and those are all things I need to maintain to pay for everything, because my expenses have shot up quite a lot recently, as I mentioned. Maybe I could do it on game night. Game night is something I could... Maybe we could even do it on Nightly News. Get some, writing samples, and I can just do live reaction and impressions and stuff. That's why game night, why I'm doing game night, because I can do stuff like that. It frees me up, because again, Shadowversity needs to maintain its momentum. So there we go. If you're referring to that, possibly in the future. And look, there is an email called shadowversitysubmissions@gmail.com that you can submit stuff to, and it's all one word. So you can send stuff there. Likely I won't get to it because I will only look at it when I'm ready to start doing the video, and then it might be buried by that time, so do what you can. But there is that email that samples can be submitted to. Okay.
Ready for the next one?
Yes, next chapter.
Okay, the Dying Titan says, as a Canuck, it's not the bears to worry about, it's the badgers. They come the size of tanks and has fur of razor wire. They use bears as back scratchers.
Oh, they sound vicious. What a mighty
That
battle.
Mountie is a man after my own heart. You wrote that well. Do a writing review on that. That was written well.
That was written well.
We should get an Australian snack and a Canadian war badger.
Fight it out.
Fight against each other.
That would be a...
Whoever wins, we lose.
Thank you for the super chat and true words. True words. All right, we shall move on. Next one.
Okay, Mr. Crazed. Hi Shad, is holding a sword by the blade and hitting people with the hilt, like you can do in games like For Honor and Mordhau, something that was done historically?
Oh, absolutely. It's called the murder stroke, or Mordhau. That's what Mordhau means. Mordhau is named after the actual historical technique. Okay, so the Mordhau, the game, and that's called the Mordhau, the murder stroke.
I don't actually know if you've played
murder strike.
I don't actually know if you've played the tutorial on Mordhau. It's actually brilliant. It's hilarious, and if you haven't, you should definitely. But
Hans.
The Hans test is amazing. But no, so they actually say when you're holding your sword, they say, push the button to turn your sword around and hold in the Mordhau grip. And they specifically say that.
I've got the stream up here. It didn't go to your camera when you were speaking. Did you?
Oh, whoops! No, I forgot to click it.
Because you were looking at the camera like you were speaking to the camera, but it wasn't on your camera, and so.
No, I
Hey,
totally forgot.
speaking of Mordhau, Shad, you should really check out this game called Mordhau. It's a lot of fun. I think the audience might want you to give it a go sometime.
We will definitely be playing it here on
Oz and
Game
I have
Night.
been playing together occasionally. So.
Oh, have you? So you guys you're gonna trash me. We'll get there. We'll get there. We got to finish off our Dragon's Dogma playthrough. Okay.
Yes, we do.
It's lots of fun.
Dragons aren't going to dogma themselves.
That is absolutely true. So make sure you don't miss the gaming streams, which have been heaps of fun. And if you can't commit the time to watching the whole stream, we got supercuts that we've made. We've got 2 supercuts already out, and we'll be making supercuts of the entire game session. And those actually have higher editing and gags in it and stuff, and so they're very watchable, very enjoyable. And so even if you've watched the live stream, the supercuts are still worth checking out. So there we go. But they're absolutely the Mordhau strike is a very historical and authentic thing. Moving on.
Now, last one is the Cold Steel swords on Amazon. Swords aren't too bad.
There we go. Yeah, so Cold Steel. They're like, as I was saying, it seems like the entry range of the practical area swords. Some get a bad rap. Some actually get some, say, hey, it's actually a decent, good sword. So there is a bit of hit and miss. Look, the Cold Steel Gross Messer looks decent. I could see myself buying that. the Grossmesser. Looks a bit short on the shorter end, but maybe. I'm not a fan of the Cold Steel Greatsword because it's not long enough to be a greatsword. Okay, it's a. I don't like it, and I don't like that they call it a greatsword. That thing has the length of a longsword on it. Anyway.
Can I just say, messes are like just glorified kitchen knives, but in a good way.
In a good,
Like glorified in a non, you know, I'm being literal. Like they're actually glorious.
They are glorious, and they are, and it's like they are glorified. You know, kitchen knives. That's what they're called, Messer, which is knife in German. So it's like, yeah, they are quite literally. All right, was that all the super chats?
That is all the super chats.
I thought I saw one last super chat.
Oh wait, no, we've just got
It was
one here.
about your, it was about your PO box. It says it wasn't in the something.
Yes, I thought, yeah. Someone says that the PO box is in the description. I should add that. Thank you. I'll try and do that. And then one just literally came in now. Castle building contest for merch ? And that's from
through Blender. That's how we'll do it.
So I actually have already thought, I was like, hey, maybe it'll be fun to do a live stream of me modeling a castle in SketchUp just to trigger Meme Lord. He loves SketchUp. SketchUp is Meme
Blender is the future.
I know. I should get onto Blender. Oh, hang on. Maybe it'll take.
Chat.
I'm not sure if it'll be interesting, but we could stream you trying to teach me Blender and me designing a castle.
I don't think either of us have enough patience for that.
I'm not sure. Even in SketchUp, right? I'm not sure how entertaining it would be because there's a lot of click. I mean, we'll be talking. I don't know. Will you guys be interested in that?
I mean, look, Shad, what we could do is you could bring up like your references and stuff, and it could be good to talk about references while building it and stuff. And
I think it could be enjoyable. It would be a more chilled stream with a bit more dead air while I'm modeling things. It would certainly need to go longer because SketchUp modeling is a lengthy process.
It's not in Blender.
Shut up.
Blender, and not just that, but you could literally paint onto it afterwards in Blender very easily.
So if I'm learning Blender at the same time, though, then it would just be even longer. But it would be fun. And we could make a really good supercut of that to cut out the dead space, and it would make a really cool finished video that might even be worthy of going up on Shadowversity. If I just
maybe
my process of how I model and design my castles. So there we go. That is a maybe. But thank you everyone for joining us. It has been a lot of fun. I love these, and like I said, game night is just having a good time making content on game night. It's a lot of fun, and of course, content is coming out just as regularly on Shadowversity, which is good. We've been able to find an efficient way, and then without me even realizing, we are pumping out the content, and these hangouts, these nightly news are heaps of fun. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Thank you, Meme Lord, for joining us as usual.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, thank you, Sir Ben, and thank you, Squire.
No problem.
It's been a heck of a lot of fun.
All right, chat. Thank you as well for joining us, and we are signing off. We will see you next time. So until then, farewell. If we're